Hello, this is Bobby with East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Greenville, North Carolina. This is a video delivery walk around to give you some key points about your brand new Jeep. Just to show you a few little quick things. On the front here, you do have your camera with a sprayer nozzle. You can hit a button on your touchscreen that will allow you to clean that front camera off. Allows you to see the front of the bumper. If you're trying to make some climbs and need a little bit more better idea of what you've got in front of you, you can use that camera to see below the bumper. You do have your LED headlamps, daytime running lamps, and fog lamps down here. I'll show you how to turn those fog lamps on in just a moment. Tow hooks on the front. To get into your hood, you use the latch system here. When you do both sides, you can lift that hood up and access things like your battery, air filter. If you happen to need a jump or give somebody a jump, you can get in there fairly easily. And you do have these big off-road tires to protect your tires. Make sure somebody doesn't steal your wheels. We do put this key on here. That keyed wheel lock has the matching key inside the glove box, and I'll show you where that is as well. You do have the easy entry key and go. You put your hand in the door handle, it unlocks. You push the button, it locks it back. Just as long as you got the key in your pocket, you can easily get in and out without ever having to take it out of your pocket or purse. Your mirror controls are on the door. You can see you adjust left and right and use the arrows to move your mirrors to the proper setting. Inside you'll see your headlamps. I would leave it on auto. It'll turn off when it's dark out, or turn on when it's dark outside and off when it's bright out. You turn on your fog lamps with this button, you hit that in and it turns on your fog lamps. You can adjust your steering wheel right here. This will allow you to tilt and telescope the steering wheel in and out. And just while we're here, these will dim your dome lights and your ambient lighting, as well as your cluster here. When your lights are on, you can dim this screen so it's not so bright at night, and it'll also dim your screen there. As far as adjusting your seat, you have your lumbar support. This puts a little support right in here so that on long trips you have a little bit of extra back support. This is your height adjuster, so you hit this and it'll raise your seat. You do that and it'll lower your seat, and then the front bar here will allow you to move your seat forward and backwards. This latch, or this strap here, will allow you to recline your seat so you can adjust everything properly. On your steering wheel, you have these controls. The arrows will cycle you through so you can see different pages inside your gauge cluster screen. You can see your trip meter, what radio station you're on. You can even customize it in this screen and change what's in the upper left and in the upper right, so you can make that exactly like you'd like. And it'll display that all the time. I would leave it right there on your digital speedometer while you're driving, so it's easy to tell how fast you're going. On the other side of the steering wheel here, you got your cruise control. Turn it on with this button. That's your standard cruise. You do also have adaptive cruise. That adaptive cruise will set a certain distance of bars. You can see in the top right, and reduces your bars. That's your car length. So 1 car length, 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths, and it'll actually maintain your distance if somebody slows down in front of you on the highway, and allow you to not have to turn off and on your cruise control. It'll adapt and go the speed to keep that distance between you and the person in front of you. On the back of your steering wheel, you have buttons here to control your stereo. Now you can adjust your station with this button. You can adjust between your different modes as far as Bluetooth, AM, FM, or Sirius XM. And then on the other side here, you've got similar controls. This is for your volume up and down, and then the middle button there will change between your favorites. So when you're driving, of course, when you're using your phone, don't want to be texting or picking up your phone while you're driving, you can use these controls to answer your phone call or ignore a phone call. This middle button will allow you to do things like voice commands to tell the radio to change the station for you, or you can push and hold and it'll talk to your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto feature to be able to send a text and things like that while you're driving, so you don't have to do that while you're on the road. In the back, you've got your middle seats, window controls for your back passengers right here. You do have some USB ports if they need to charge their phone. Back here you've got USB, and you've even got an inverter, which is just like your 110 volt house plug style type of charge point. They need an armrest back here. You can fold that down. You see you got a couple cup holders in the middle. These seats will fold. You got your first latch to fold down your headrest if you want to see out your back window a little better, and then you can actually fold this whole seat down and it'll go flat for extra storage. In the back here you've got your storage bag for your tops. These two panels in the front will come out very easily, and I'll show you here in just a moment how that works. Of course, the seat back in the upright position. Just regular fuel is okay. You can put Premium or Plus in there, but it does not really benefit you that much. Just make sure when you're putting the cap back in that you make sure you get a couple clicks. On the back here, you do open the bottom door first and then open the rear door. You have some extra storage underneath here. If you ever decide to take off your top, or if you take off your doors, or you take off your bring down your windshield, you have the bolt holes here to be able to store those bolts so you don't lose them. You can see the little type of bolts that are on the back. You use what's called a Torx bit, and it comes with a tool in the Jeep to be able to take that top off. You have to also disconnect your wire harness here and do a couple other things. It definitely requires a couple people to help with that. You've got a 12 volt spot in the back here. This one does run off of the battery, so it will be running all the time. If you do plug something in there, just be careful to unplug it before you leave it for a couple days, because it will drain that battery while the Jeep is not running. On the back you have your spare tire. If you ever do need to change your spare, which you do have roadside assistance, you get that for 5 years or 60,000 miles, so you can actually call that roadside assistance number. I put my card in the glove box, so you have that number to have some help if you do ever need to change your tire. But if you want to do it yourself, of course, you do need your keyed wheel lock key to get that tire off, and then you use your toolkit, same Torx toolkit, to take up your top. You unscrew this housing comes off, and then you'll be able to take the tire off in order to replace one of the flats or blown out tires. You can see on the bottom here, these are step and rock rails. These will help protect the Jeep. It also gives you a little foothold to get in a little better. Louvered hood here. If you do ever fold down the windshield, you've got 4 bolts up here. You have a strap here to be able to keep that windshield from flopping around if you do want to do that. Inside the Jeep, some of the key features on the Jeep are inside this touchscreen, the 8.4-inch screen. Once you have your phone paired, you'll be able to make and receive phone calls. If you have an Apple device, like I was talking about, you can push and hold this VR button, and it will allow you to tell Siri to send a text. If you have an Android phone, once you're plugged in through USB down here, it will let you connect for Android Auto, and you can do the same thing for Apple CarPlay, and it'll mirror your cell phone onto this touchscreen, so you can use the navigation from your touchscreen instead of the built-in nav here. Now, as far as on this screen, there's a lot to go over, but you've got your radio presets. If you're listening to AM, FM, you just push and hold down on the button, and it'll save that radio station in there. You do have a 6-month trial of satellite radio. On the satellite radio, you can go in and actually rewind your radio station by hitting the rewind button after hitting replay, and you can listen to up to 22 minutes of recorded station on any of these presets. And if you want to go back live, you just hit live and it'll let you listen to where it's at currently. The radio is capable of Bluetooth as well, so when you select source and you hit Bluetooth, when you're paired up with your phone, you'll be able to stream your music. You have to control it from your phone though, so that's one thing to be aware of. It is a little easier if you're plugged in through USB, because then you can control your cell phone audio apps right through the touchscreen. When you go to your climate control, you can see you've got all the different buttons here, but you also have buttons here which are a little easier to access while you're driving. You can adjust your fan speed here, or if you know what temperature you want to set it to, you hit auto and you put your temperature to where you would like it, and it'll adjust the fan. I'm going to turn it down so that the wind doesn't interfere with my microphone, and then you can go in and adjust things like your heated seats. You can see you got your buttons as well, so they've got redundant controls. You got multiple ways to do it. You know, you do have heated mirrors when it comes to be wintertime. You can knock the frost off of those mirrors by hitting the rear defrost button. So as far as your climate control, you can adjust where your air is blowing with those buttons, or you can use the mode right here and it'll change those as well. So basically everything that's here is available on your screen as well. When you go to your controls, you can see you've got an automatic dimming mirror. I would actually leave that on, but that basically dims your mirror whenever somebody is in the back behind you. A big truck or something has this light shining right into your mirror. It'll dim those for you automatically. You can access your backup camera or your front camera, and you can see there's the button to clean your camera and the rear glass. So if you are in a muddy situation, you can easily clear that off. And in controls, you have quick access to your settings as well, which is just the same button there. In your apps, you have a ton of different options here. You can go to Travel Link. You can see where the nearest fuel station is. It'll actually navigate you there if you hit Go Now. If you're price shopping for gas, you can search that way as well. And then you can even see things like movie listings. You can see a weather overlay to see what the fronts look like if you want to know if rain's coming. And in certain cities, you can see weather forecasts. The closest one to here is Goldsboro. When you go to your navigation, works just like how nav has always worked, but in case you're unfamiliar, you want to punch in an address, just make sure you enter in sort of backwards. If you're going out of state, change the state first, and then once you start spelling the city or the street, it'll start to auto-complete that, and you can see sort of predictive text as you're typing, and it'll eventually tell us we want to go to Greenville Boulevard. You can see you got different options here. So now you can type in the number you want to go to. You can also use your voice commands right here. And once you find a few favorite places and you find where you want to set your home address to, you can save it in here. So as soon as you come to your navigation screen, you can hit home and it'll navigate you there. As far as when your phone is paired, you go through the settings, you hit yes, you go to your connections on your cell phone, which is in your settings, and then you start the Bluetooth pairing process. Once you see the Uconnect option for pairing, you connect to Uconnect and pair your phone. And you go to an iPhone and you pair it. Just make sure to go into the settings beside Uconnect where it's connected, hit the little eye icon, and it'll have a slider for notifications, and it'll allow you to receive your notifications on your cell phone, like if you get a text message. You do not have to do that for Android, but with iPhone it is important to do that. When you go through your settings here, different things that are important to know. If you are going to your safety settings, I'm going to turn on your lights and chimes, so that way when you have your turn signal on, it'll light up this little triangle that's in your mirror whenever somebody's in your blind spot. And if you have your turn signal on, it'll also chime at you to give you an audible warning so that you know before you cross over into the next lane that there's somebody there. It does have automatic emergency braking. If you find that it's doing it a little too soon, you can change the sensitivity, or you can do it to warning only instead of it braking for you. There's a lot of things that you can go in and customize as far as safety options. When you go to, for instance, your doors and locks, right now it's set to open all doors. I'm going to change that to just unlocking the driver door, so that way when you put your hand in the door handle, it'll unlock just the driver door and not all the doors. Again, you can go in and customize these things and make it how you would like, but that's how I typically set up first ownership of the Jeeps. Now, when you go down below here, you see you do have a few extra buttons here. So this will mute the radio, of course. This turns off the auto engine stop start. So when you do that, when it's lit up like this, that means that your vehicle will not turn off while you're standing at a stoplight. And it's normal for it to do that. It's for fuel economy savings. But if you do not want it disabling your engine while you're at a stoplight, you hit that button and you can turn that off. You basically will leave that on all the time. Your traction control, this button will allow your wheels to spin. When you go into four-wheel drive mode, it will do that automatically. So I would just leave it the way it is. And then you can turn off your sensor in the rear. If you don't want it beeping at you when you're getting close to things, again, I would set that to stay on. And then this is for off-road. If you are going downhill in an off-road situation, this will allow you to not have to ride your brakes. It's called hill descent control. And that's strictly for off-road. And then you can turn off your screen on the fly if it's a distraction while you're driving. You've got a 12-volt spot here. This one runs only when the Jeep is running. That's what the key icon means. And then when you look here, these are your window controls to roll down your windows. You can turn off the rear windows by sliding that down. And of course you got your charge ports. USB-C is the top one. USB-A, or your typical charge cord. We'll go into that. You have an auxiliary spot if you want to play your own MP3 player that doesn't have USB. And this is a Rubicon, so it does have a locking differential. Now this is for off-road only, but you can lock the rear wheels so that they're only spinning at the same speed, or you can lock the front and rear. When you hit this toggle, it will allow you to lock just the front wheels to spin together and the rear wheels to spin together, basically for traction. And then if you do go off-road and you want four-wheel drive capability for different traction or different types of surfaces, that's what Off-Road Plus will do. Again, only in four-wheel drive can you go there. Same thing with sway bars. You only can do this in four-wheel drive, but it'll allow your wheels to have more wheel travel so that your wheel has a capability of going up and down further. It gives you more articulation. Again, unless you're in off-road or going in four-wheel drive mode, won't be necessary to use those buttons. But if you do need to put it in four-wheel drive and put your vehicle into neutral, you need to be at a standstill or a very slight roll, like 1 mile per hour. And you take this, and it takes some elbow grease because it is a manual shifter. But you pull this down and you'll feel it lock. You'll see the 4-wheel high or 4H change on your screen here, and that means you're in 4 high. You should only do this when you're on slippery surfaces. If you do this on dry pavement, it can damage the powertrain. If you start to turn your wheels, your steering wheel, your wheels are trying to turn at the same speed, and it can hop and skip, and you'll feel it not feeling right. And that's why you want to do it only in slippery surfaces, because it can damage the powertrain. But then you can pull it down further. Hard to do with one hand, but when you pull it down all the way into 4 low, that's strictly for, there we go, 4-wheel low. That will be only for slow speeds. That's up to 20 miles an hour or so in 4-wheel drive. And then when you go back to 4 high, that's for when you're going up to 50 miles an hour. Really, in 4-wheel drive, you need to be going slow anyways. 4-wheel drive is strictly for slippery surfaces. So when you're just driving around in regular driving conditions, even a little bit of rain, the drive mode in too high, what is by default, that would be the best way to drive this vehicle, even in slight rain, and even a little bit of snow. When you get into heavy snows and that sort of thing, that's where maybe 4 high will come into play. But for North Carolina weather, you should be just fine in 2 high. In your glove box, you do have a wheel lock key. This is your wheel lock key, so just make sure that stays with the Jeep. That way you can take your tires off if necessary when it's time to rotate your tires or to change a spare. Up above here, you do have roadside assistance. You can call the number on the card that I put in my glove box, or you can hit this button and it'll call roadside assistance. If you hit the SOS button, it's going to call a third party first, and then it'll call 911 if you're having an emergency. Whereas all your other buttons here, this is for programming to a garage door opener. To take your top down, you can remove the main 2 panels here, just this front part, very easily. You undo your latches, do all 4, and then you can lift this top out. Now you do need to make sure when you put it back on that you secure it. Make sure all the latches are back into place to prevent leaking and that sort of thing. And these tops just go in the bag that's in the far back behind your seat. And in order to take your passenger side out, you do have to remove your driver's side first. As far as the rest of the Jeep, little things just worth noting. Of course, beside your cup holders here, you've got your console. This console's got lockable storage, so if you take the top off and you're leaving things out in the open, you can push your key inside that hole there to be able to lock your storage. And that key is just like this key here, so you can easily put it in here and put your stuff in and lock your storage. That means that it's secure. And then same thing with your glove box. Because these are open air vehicles, you can leave the top off and leave them exposed. You want to make sure your personal belongings are taken care of. And then inside you do have another USB slot and a little bit more storage. If you're parking on a hill, of course your emergency brake here is there for you. Just regular parking though, you can just put it into park and be fine that way. All your vents are completely customizable. You can control them very easily. As far as your buttons here, volume and tune are all pretty self-explanatory. But if you're trying to explore and see what other stations are out there for satellite radio, you can scroll through and see different genres and scroll through before you choose your channel where you want to go. As far as the rest of the Jeep, if you need to make adjustments here, your headrests have little sliders here underneath which you can adjust and raise your headrest or lower it down. The windshield wipers, just other little safety things. You've got your rear windshield wiper there, and then when you're ready to turn on your front windshield wiper, you can quickly mist by rolling this, pushing this upwards, or pushing it forwards to you. You can see it's gonna mist your windshield. And then you can have different intervals there, or you can go to low or high as far as how fast your windshield wipers are going. Turn signal indicator and your high beams all in control there. And you can see when I hit the scroll wheel that it is brightening that screen. When you have your windshield wiper active, it is going to turn on your headlights. That's why you see your headlamp and your fog lamp indicator on right now. Ton of things to talk about in the Jeep. Sorry for such a long-winded overview, but I want to make sure that as a new driver you know how to use your new Jeep, and that you can allow your passengers to do things like roll down their windows and and be able to adjust their seats. The controls are the same on the passenger side as they are for the driver's side. But if there's any questions, of course, you can call me. I'll have my number in there in the glove box in case you have any questions. But congratulations again on the Jeep, and enjoy, be safe, and have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. This is Bobby, East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep.